whether there's 1, 2, or even 10, or even 100,000 entrepreneurs that one can help, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, I think what matters is being able to help one, because the economy is set up in such a way that the 1% control. So if we're able to get a 1% who's either from Kwatwa, Velcom, Tembisa, Kukule to Kaelicha, who's going to be impacted and go out there and run with it and really disrupt their own lives and the livelihood of those around them, that's a win. So thank you so much for having me, and thank you so much to all the entrepreneurs and attendees who decided to participate tonight. We hope that you'll gain value, and please just participate in the dialogue. It's not a talk session, but it's really just an engagement session where we would like for you to walk away with the answers and the impactful resources that you need just to stay sane in this time.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
It becomes impossible to see a better me of tomorrow if I don't get to accept the condition and the environment I'm in today. I believe that you have prepared something for us. So I'm going to open the platform to you, sir, to share with us what you have prepared for us. You can go ahead. Thank you.
Perfect. So, okay, hosts. I think you need to enable me to do screen sharing, please. Perfect. I'm good now. So just to kick off, maybe let me just do full screen. Just to give a little bit of context, I've got my timer running for 30 minutes, and then we're going to do a great Q&A. My name is Bulelani Balabala. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm someone who's very passionate about, brands, human capital development. I've been an entrepreneur now for the past 15 years. Failed quite a lot of times, disrupted quite a lot of times. I've gotten wins. I've experienced the ups and downs. And I think my view today is just to share from one entrepreneur to other entrepreneurs, right? Where am I? And I think most importantly, how am I dealing with in terms of this particular crisis? And I think through this online survival platform, survival guiding platform, we'll be able to share ideas and concepts in terms of, what I think and what you think. And I think my main thing today was to really just talk about being responsive and also being productive. And I think this is very important. And most of the time when we talk about being productive, we speak about outward production, creating outwardly. But I think what we always negate and what we always neglect is the fact that you can never pour from an empty cup. And being able to produce a large variety of products, being able to produce great value, requires you to be able to build enough resources internally for you to be able to deliver on that level. Now, a lot of us, if not even all of us, were impacted by the lockdown in one way or another, whether business, whether work, whether emotional, whether spiritual, it doesn't matter the case. And in that particular moment in time, when it's like any other situation, when a crisis happens, you've got two options. Do you fight or do you flight? And I think what was then important for me, and I think other entrepreneurs have also gone through it, going into this moment in time, I wanted to scrummage because now our livelihood is being disrupted. Mind you, we've just closed a couple of big deals for this year, and it was a bit of a frustration. So I'm also reaching out to clients, talking to them about things we could change and things we could do. But in that time, I'm forgetting one critical thing that no one is thinking about. No one is thinking about listening about what they need to do next. Everyone is trying to feel out what the next move and what the next level is going to be. And I think in my ignorance, I'm trying to come up with solutions for something that I don't even know, to a client who doesn't even know what the outcome would be and how we even measure the outcome. And it might have even ended in causing a big problem for me. So I really think that in being productive, and I really think that in being productive, and it's straight, and I think in being productive, there are three main things that are critical that I think that one needs to then focus on their development on a day-to-day basis. You know, number one is your mind, and number two is your spirit, and number three is your body. Whereas these three intrinsically will help you to become very productive, will help you to be able to deliver the value that you want to deliver at the end of the day. And I think one could also go to the extent to say that we create the things that we create because of the level of exposure and the level of experience and also the level of learning. So I'll repeat that. We create the things that we create. So even start the businesses that we start because of the level of experience, the level of exposure, and the level of learning. Because you cannot start what you do not know. You started based on assumption because you've seen it. You started based on you've read a book and you've researched. You've started based on exposure into a new place. You were traveling, exposure in that you were engaging with people that were in the same industry or different industries that were coming with innovative ways and products in terms of delivering a service. And you decided, maybe this is what I need to do. And I think it becomes very critical for us to understand that this time in and itself, this is the perfect time for the entrepreneur to actually spend in building themselves up. What are the missing gaps in your spirituality, in your body, in your mindset that you were neglecting? Because the biggest lie that we have ever told ourselves, or the biggest lie that we've ever been caught up in, is the fact that, you know, hustle 24 hours a day, never rest. But in actual fact, you know, health is wealth. You know, spiritual sanity is wealth. We have seen a number of entrepreneurs fall into depression. We've seen a number of people fall into depression because entrepreneurship in and itself is a lonely journey. I always make examples and say that, you know, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you are a very crazy person, because entrepreneurship is like choosing to swallow crushed bottles and doing that each and every day. And in most cases, doing it for zero or to even minimal pay. But which then brings me to the fact that entrepreneurship in and itself is a calling more than anything. And because of the fact that it's a calling, one is dedicated to the journey. That is why we get to a point where even when we respond to problems or even crisis, we do not respond because we are negated by the immediate needs of the now, but we are responding purely because we have gone through a journey. And it's no longer about making 10 million or 30 million or 40 million. If you pay close attention to it, all of those are just numbers on the board. But what it's about at the end of the day, it's about the journey and the milestone. It's about the journey and the milestone. The journey has got its ups and the journey has got its downs. The journey has got its peaks, the journey has got its wins, and the journey has got its losing. And which is why it's important then to respond on the basis of your productivity, which is a great foundation that you have inherently built. And secondly, responding from the base of you understand that it's not a sprint, but it's a marathon. Now, moving on to the next slide. I think I've got quite a few slides prepared, but I won't go all the way, you know, in respecting this great platform. But I think for me, because I was also working on a book, which has been taking quite a long time. I've been working on the book since last year. And some of the things for me which were critical that I was sharing on that particular platform is the 4 L's. I think the 4 L's for me, you know, they talk about the 4 letters that you see on the screen. But in this crisis, one of the biggest things that an entrepreneur would have needed to do, and this is not just even in this crisis, this is just the entrepreneurial archetype on a day-to-day basis, is, you know, number one, listen. You know, whenever you're engaging with a client, and then let me make an example. I used to go to clients and I'd set up hour meetings, and I'd spend that hour telling a client about the product, about the features and the benefits of the product. And I spent a little bit of the time because I also heard someone telling me that you need to listen to what the client is saying. And then I would walk out of that meeting with a no, send us a quotation, we'll talk, let's chat after, keep following up. But you need to in understanding the fact that entrepreneurship is not about the end goal. There is no end goal. It's a journey. So the journey is good. It's up and it's downs. No one actually told me to listen to the things that they aren't telling you, because you need to understand one thing. You need to understand one thing that is very critical at the end of the day, that if you're going to need to break through, if you're going to need to break the yoke, if you're not going to need to break into understanding who the client is and what is going on in the market, then one needs to be able to hone in and being able to listen into what is going on in that particular time. Yes, we know that there's COVID, we know that there's a lockdown, but those are the effects of what's going on. What is the market shift? Is the market actually shifting? And I'll make an example. I've been having a couple of debates with a couple of entrepreneurs and friends who are in the industry and in the space. And some of the things that they've been sharing with me is, we need to tell entrepreneurs about digitization, digital skills. The market is never going to be the same. Yes, things are going to change, but I think that we need to then be careful in terms of what the market is going to look like, because all of us are grasping at straws, talking about something that we don't even know, making assumptions about something that we don't even know. But hold up, here's the thing. That is what life is each and every day. Sometimes we look at the people who are successful and think that they've got it all together, but what they actually are doing is that they are walking blindly through each and every day, planning with checklists, with PAs, with executives, but they're feeling their way through the room, trying to breathe as much as we are also trying to breathe. So could we then zoom back and call this a crisis, because this is how we're living each and every day? It's just the difference is that the other one is called day, but this one is called COVID. This one is called lockdown. So we've spent this large number of years being disrupted, but we're listening to the effects of what's going on, but instead of listening to the moment. But each and every entrepreneur, if they're spending time pulling themselves away from the moment, but focusing on this moment in time, then one will be able to pull out what this moment in time is saying to them about how they need to respond and whether or not they need to sit back and how they need to speak and how they need to tone up, because this moment is a moment for you to really tap into what is happening in this time. That is what listening is to me. And the second thing for me that is important with the 4 L's is learning. The platform in and itself, there's nothing better as an example than this platform. They talk about readers are winners, readers are leaders. Anyone who's willing to open themselves up to different perspective, that is someone who's going to get ahead, because that is someone who's gotten multiple opportunities to listen to variable people, to open up their minds to different thoughts, to disrupt themselves. And I remember years ago, I was told, find a mentor who is in the same industry as you, find mentors who are in the same industry as you. And I remember engaging with one of those mentors that I was trying to find who was in the same industry as me. And he was saying to me, if you want to really develop and grow, you don't just need to look at finding mentors or people to look up to who are in the same industry as you. Find people who are killing it in different industry, people who will sit back whenever you were engaging with them and you engaging with them on something that you're sure about, and they will sit back and question you, how do you think that's going to work? Because they're from different industries that don't understand your industry, because you need to understand one thing, that learning is a series of being asked whys that you are answering yourself, that open up your mind to new possibilities. But whenever we don't put our thoughts out there to being asked why we're doing the things that we're doing, then we are limiting our progress at the end of the day. And the result, or the gross impact of that, is that we might never ever be able to step into the next level, because the next level is answered whenever you're able to whenever you're able to answer what your why is at the end of the day. And that's what learning is. So I want to start a new business. If I can't answer the why, then I can't move to the next level. The moment I've started that business, I want to get client A, B, C, and D. If I can't answer the why, I might not be able to even sustain the client, which is why sometimes we get into certain situations, but we're not able to sustain those lucrative situations because we're not able to answer the why. But here's the thing about the why. The answer to the why doesn't benefit you, but the answer to the why benefits the next person. Whatever learnings you get, if those learnings are only limited to developing you, if those learnings are only limited at developing your thinking, then those are not learnings. Those are restrictions negative thoughts. But if your learnings are going to impact other people, that is the type of learnings that I'm speaking about today when I'm speaking about the 4Ls that will create value for your clients, because you need to understand that you are trading value for monetary gain. Value for monetary gain. You're not selling Acha. You're not selling a you're not selling a product. You're not selling the fact that you studied at VETS, or you've got a BCom degree, you've got an accounting and business management, you've got a actuarial sciences. You're not selling those. Those are the effects of what actually produce. I think more than anything, what you are putting out there because of what you have learned is the fact that you can trust me, because that is what everyone wants at the end of the day. Now, if you have learned, you are able to go into different spaces and different circles, meet people that you don't even know, but meet at the basis of commonality, and the commonality would be the problem or the conversation or even engagement. But here's the one thing about people. The one thing that they will never open up about, people will never open up their wallets to you. People will never open up about how they make their money. Number one, when you meet them the first time, people will never open up about where they live, who they are married to. But here's what people will open up to, which is the most important thing. People will always open up to asking you how your day is. People will always open up their minds to you. But the true question at the end of the day is that when they've opened up their minds to you, what are they going to be met with? Which is what learning is all about. It's so that when that opportunity presents itself, you are able to engage them at the level of their capacity. And being learned means that you're able to adjust the capacity at different levels to accommodate a wide variety of people. The third L for me is lead. I used to think that in order for one to lead, I used to think that in order for one to lead, then you need to be in front. You need to be in front leading 4, 5, or even 10 people. You need to be the leader of a company. You need to be called a leader. You need to be a leader at high school where you're called a prefect. You need to be a leader in university where you're called an SRC leader or chairperson. You need to be the president of a political party. And then I shifted my mentality, and then I learned a couple of different things to say that you don't need to you don't need to be in front in order lead, right? So you can lead from where you are, and you can lead yourself through where you are in that moment. But then I dug a little bit deeper, and then I learned from some people that were smarter than me, and they told me that leadership is about being a servant. So it's servant leadership, meaning that I'm able to step off whatever perceived. And the reason why I say it's perceived, because it's people speaking into your reality, it's people speaking into your perception, right? The perceived level of being CEO. That actually means nothing at the end of the day, apart from it being a title. But I'm able to step out of that zone and step into the zone of being a servant, and step in that zone of being a servant purely because I am serving those around me. So whether it's the helper that I have at home, my wife, my kids, my job, my employees, I'm serving them. But here's the thing. The heightened level for me of leading, or the heightened level for me of leading, of being led, or wanting to lead, or wanting to be led, is allowing yourself to actually be led. Everyone likes the idea of leading from the front. Most people like the idea of leading from the back. Some people like the idea of the leaders being servants to everyone. But it's rare to find people that are willing to yield their leadership after 15 years of experience to a startup entrepreneur who's sharing ideas and concepts without blocking them off and thinking that they know it all. It's rare to have those very same people sit in a situation where they're able to shut down the noise in their head that says, I am older than you, I am wiser than you, I have done it longer than you, I'm not gonna listen to you, Undwana, and you don't know what you're talking about. But are you able to open up yourself to that person's mindset in them being able to lead? So that fourth lead for me, which is critical, which is powerful, talks about being able to submit. By being able to submit to yourself to the moment, being able to submit yourself to leadership at the moment. It doesn't matter what that leadership looks like, but it is the character. It is the character that is instilled in you that allows you to adjust your character. And when you are able to adjust your character, that will then adjust your revenue, because you then be able to engage with the right people at the right time, and also create the right people in the right way within your circles and space. And the fourth L for me is the moment you've listened. The moment you've listened, you understand what the problem is. The moment you've learned, you understand how to solve the problem. The moment you lead, you understand who can help you solve that problem. So you outsource your weaknesses. And number four, you unpack. And number four, you start to open and unpack a credible part of that conversation, which is now to leverage. So we normally have it the other way around. We normally want to leverage, but we haven't spent where we normally want to leverage, but we haven't spent the time developing us. We haven't spent the time developing the narrative. We haven't spent the time developing the story. Similar to going into this lockdown, we might have even spent the time trying to come up with solutions. Do I start selling masks? Do I start do I stop what I'm doing and start doing else? Do I now go to clients and tell them I can now deliver this job online or through Zoom when I don't even understand the impact of that and how I'll actually even. So you're not leveraging on the basis of profitability, but you're leveraging on the basis of value. And when you start to leverage on the basis of value, you start to unlock great possibilities. Which is why when you look at the top 10 or the top 5 billionaires that are out there in the world, and you start to study the businesses that they run, they are leveraging off the value, but they're leveraging off the value, but never the rands and cents. Because any business that limits itself to the service offering, any business that limits itself to just the product or services, any business that limits itself just purely to the price point is a business that's going to be beaten at the end of the day. But you leverage based on the fact that you know that you can move a client from point A to point B. And those 4 L's for me become the foundation for which I would want us to, even as we go into the Q&A a bit later on, start to unpack what we are all about. But before we do that, and I mean, I've got 10 minutes on my clock, I want to touch on a few things. But before we do that, I think it's very important that when one has unpacked the 4 L's, one understands what your story is. What is your story? You know, we've heard a little bit about who Bulelani is. We've heard about Robert Kiyosaki. We've heard about Richard Branson. We've heard about great entrepreneurs in the country, but what is your story? You know, you can live in the same street as someone who is the same age as you. You guys would have gone to the same high school, gotten the same qualification after high school, almost look alike because you always hang together. You know, apply for the same job, even get the same job and marry the same type of guys. But the biggest misunderstanding is the thing that your story is only limited to where you are and what value is there in your story, because everyone else has got the same story as you. But you need to understand one thing, purely because of the fact that we have got different perspectives and we've got different perceptions. We could live in the same house with the same age, with the same opportunities, with the same mother, the same father, but see things different, because we are not limiting the next level purely because of how we are raised, but we are opening up our possibilities purely because of the revelations that we are opening ourselves up to. So your story, you embracing your story, is you being able to open up that intrinsic value that clients are looking out for when they want to work with you. And I'll make an example. So when I started, I ran a company that offered printing services. So we were printing flyers. We didn't have machines. So we had a company we were working with that were printing flyers, pull-up banners, business cards, and all these, and a variety of different products, right? But one has to sit back and think and think about it, because in that moment, I thought it was a good idea to go to brand managers and tell them of the products I'm selling. But the shift moment for me was years ago, where I was talking to a CMO or a marketing manager, and I wasn't telling them about the products, but I was telling them about my story. In that moment in time, me being able to open up and engage them about my story in terms of how I'm building this business and why I'm building this business, I started to realize that I'm building one thing with the client. I'm building what is called rapport. It is only on the basis of your story and people connecting with your story that you can build long-lasting relationships. It's only on the basis of your story and people connecting to your story that you can build long-lasting relationships. We all know it. People buy from people that they like. People buy brands that they like. People work with brands that they like. People want to work for brands that they like. So knowing this then opens us up to the fact that Your story carries the power to open up the next level. But you not being able to merge the story correctly with the emergence of your product then limits the growth of your product. And what you are left with is customers and clients. Now, who is customers and clients? Everyone has got customers and clients. And because of the fact that everyone is owning the very same thing, you then never get to leverage on that particular, relationship. But if you want to leverage for the long term, you then build on your story, because that is how you build long-lasting relationships. So it is then important in building your own story that you become authentic. I've heard a lot of entrepreneurs saying, I'm going to be the next Coca-Cola, the next Facebook, the next Mark Zuckerberg. You're not going to be the next Coca-Cola. You're not going to be the next Mark Zuckerberg. You're not going to be the next Oprah. You're not going to be the next anything. You are going to be the next you. But the question is, do you choose to become the next you, or do you choose to sit under the banner or even the shadow of someone else's shine? But the second part, build on your story. Your story is not there for it to just become a pity party. Your story is there to get you into the door. Your story is there to get you into the door. Your story is there to get the attention. But what I've seen a lot of us as entrepreneurs do, and we get opportunities to get interviews, and we get opportunities to stand on stages and engage. What we then do is that we start sharing about our story. But we don't realize that after a while, everyone has heard the story and they're waiting for the next level. So what? Because after we've heard your story, so what? Build on your story, because when you are then able to build on your story, you build the right type of relationships. Because that's the only thing that you should be aiming to do when you start sharing your story, because your story is personal. You're sharing your personal story with another human being. It doesn't matter what their level, it doesn't matter who they are, but if they're able to connect with that story, you will have a customer, you will have a client who will tell you, lockdown or no lockdown, competitors or no competitors, you are high in price or you are not high in price, I'm gonna work with you. But more than working with you, I'll tell you how the other supplier did it for us, who satisfied us, because it's more to this relationship than what meets the eye. It's not just an invoice on a piece of paper, but it's a relationship. Number 3, the moment you build that story, the moment you build on those relationships, protect them. Protect those relationships. How do you protect a relationship? The relationship is built up through deposits and withdrawals. Deposits and withdrawals. Deposits and withdrawals. I'm saying that over and over again so that you understand it. Deposits and withdrawals. So whether or not you're married, whether or not you're in business, whether or not you want to get an entrepreneur who's made it to be a mentor to others, relationships are about deposits and withdrawals. I'll tell you a story. One of my mentors tells me years ago he was invited by one Black billionaire in the country. And this billionaire said to him, well, listen, my daughter is having her 18th birthday. I know you are not in the entertainment or sound business or whatsoever, but I'm hoping that you can help us. I'm hoping that you can arrange sound or equipment for that particular day, right? So this guy then respectfully said, no, sir, I'll help. But he then walked away and went home. On his way home, he started thinking to himself, how am I gonna help these people? Because I'm not in the sound space. But he then thought to himself, well, you know what? I'm actually gonna move out of my comfort zone. I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna help this particular client. So he went in and he decided, okay, cool. I'm not just gonna organize the sound. He then came in and organized planners. They organized this whole entire venue. They organized all these things. These artists paid everyone from his pocket. Then the party happened, right? Then the birthday party happened. Then the owner said to him, in actual fact, could you please send me your invoice? I was actually, you told me that you want to be close to me. So I was actually testing you and giving you this task to see that you would actually execute on a task that is disrupting you from your ordinary and from your normal. He then says, oh, wow, I didn't know that it was actually a test, but I'm glad I have delivered to your family's satisfaction. But he says, I'm not going to send you an invoice because I would not like for you to bill me. I would not like for you to pay me for the services that I have rendered. The gentleman then responded and insisted and said, no, we'll pay you. He said, no, we won't pay you. The long story short, a couple of months down the line, he was then given a contract 5 times the amount, 100 times the amount of whatever it is that he was looking for. It was a contract yet again for something that he was not qualified for, that he was not in the same industry for, but it's a contract that changed his whole entire life altogether. What happened in that moment in time? I'll tell you what happened in that moment in time. He went, let me tell you what happens. You will see people that you idolize. You will see entrepreneurs that you want to talk to. You'll meet them in conferences. You'll meet them in offices. You'll meet them in business parks. You'll meet them at the mall. You will engage them and they will smile and say, we're going to work with you. We like you. Let's talk. And then you'll call them the next day and they won't answer the phone. The reason why they won't answer the phone is because you haven't deposited anything into that relationship. There's no circle that you'll be able to enter into if you haven't first deposited into that circle to show that you've got skin in the game. So when he decided that he was going to be asked to become a birthday planner, and he ran a very successful business that was going to be asked to plan a birthday party, and he went a step further after delivering excellently, he then decided, I'm not just going to do that, but over and above that, don't even pay me. You don't pay me. Because you need to understand one thing. Certain relationships that you want to get into, you can only get into through sacrifice. And what is it that you need to break away from? And what is it that you need to deposit that is going to get the attention of the people that you want to get the attention of? We go at it the wrong way. Sometimes we want to get the attention of people, but we're trying to get the attention of someone who's got everything already. So how do you then buy a city? How do you then win over a city? You buy it. How do you then enter into powerful relationships? You add value. But how do you then add value? You then identify gaps that are missing in those platforms and you keep showing up each and every day, which then leads me to this slide. And this will then be my last slide in the interest of time. It then becomes very important that you show up each and every day. I'll tell you something about myself. In the past, I remember last year, I think it was last year, early in the year, I think around March or so, I went and I spoke to my doctor, and my doctor told me that I was chronically depressed. Well, I've since overcome that, but I'll tell you a bit about that bubble. That bubble was built up primarily and purely by anxiety, because I was trying to own the next day, and I was trying to own the next day. I was trying to control things that I didn't have control over. I was trying to show up for things that I didn't need to show up for. And I think the breakthrough for me was being able to track my days and my weeks, and being able to open myself up to all the things that were negative energy takers. And the negative energy takers were the things that were taking a piece of my energy that I didn't even need to invest in, that I should have delegated out to someone else. So showing up for me is about being prepared. It's not just about seeing someone as a target and going up to them and talking to them. You need to learn when to speak and not when to speak, and who to attract and who not to attract. Sometimes you lose nothing by just saying hi and bye, because you then walk away with your integrity at the end of the day. But because of the fact that we want to get what we keep and put it in the can and sit on what we have gotten and make sure that no one else gets it because we've gotten it, we then lose a lot of things. So as an entrepreneur, it becomes very critical to always be prepared. But being prepared is not just having a rehearsed speech. Being prepared is being able to adapt to different situations and moments, that when an opportunity opens up, you're able to grab it. The second one is being able to work hard and work smart. I'll talk a little bit about this. I believe in the balance. I believe in being able to work hard and working smart. No one was born to work hard for the rest of their lives. No one was born to work hard for the rest of their lives. The ratio that we all as entrepreneurs need to be moving towards is a ratio of 1,000% effort for 1,000% return that will come in on a monthly basis. 1,000% effort on the second phase that will yield 20% results on a semester basis, or even on a yearly basis. Now, what we never get out of is we get into business and we then call it a hustle. And the challenge about calling it a hustle is that our minds also adjust to the word hustle, meaning that each and every day, you'll be hustling for the next rand, for the next invoice, for the next opportunity. You never even graduate. You never graduate to delegating the work and automating. So even when you hire staff members, you still harbor over them because you feel like you are the only one who can do it right and no one else can do it right. It's the archetype of every business owner, and which is why you find an entrepreneur, they start a business, it becomes successful, and then after a while it plateaus, it hits an equilibrium. And after it hits the equilibrium, they feel like, you know what, this thing is boring, let me move to the next industry. They start something else, it becomes super successful, and then it plateaus. They start something else, it becomes super successful, and then it plateaus. The only reason why it plateaus is purely because of the entrepreneurial meddling. The entrepreneurial meddling is the one that says, I'm a hard worker, I'm the only one who can do it, and no one else can do it apart from me. But the entrepreneur who's fixated on growth and automation says, I'm a hard worker, but I'm going to work hard. So I draw in the energies of the right people so that we start to automate. When we start to automate, now I start to work smarter, meaning that the same effort I would have put in, which is 1,000% of effort that would have yielded 1,000% worth of results, now actually yields 1,000,000% in terms of results. And that shouldn't shock you, but that should be the outlay of growth. The third part, and this is going to be my last slide, is identifying opportunities. Showing up means that not every opportunity is for you. Showing up means that the right opportunity is going to be predicated by what the mood in the room is, but also what the mood that you are setting for the client at that particular point in time. Showing up means that when you are identifying an opportunity, you are pioneering opportunity. You walk into presentations and pitch sessions and the client, and you've got a clear brief, but in your understanding and in your resolve and understanding what the client's solution is, you are able to help the client position a business in the right path and in the right manner. The fourth part for me is shoot your shot. Shoot your shot. Shoot your shot. A lot of people think about doing it. A lot of people know people that have done it. A lot of people talk about people that have done it. A lot of the people that we talk about and we read about are people that actually shot their shot. Sometimes we get so controlled by, is it going to be perfect? Are people going to like it? But I think if you want to grow and if you want to move yourself to the next level, start doing it and you start perfecting it as you move along. Because if you've spent the time researching, if you spent the time planning, if you spent the time seeking the mentorship, the next level for you is for you to start, is for you to shoot your shot each and every day. And in knowing one thing, that failure is a part of life. We are built for failure at the end of the day. The reason why we're built for failure is because success becomes a milestone at every level of failure. But when we give up in between, we never ever actually even access that. But shoot your shot and show up for each and every moment and for each and every solution. And in my closing words are simply this. So yesterday you probably logged in, today you logged in, tomorrow you're gonna log in, you're gonna be on Tapelo's feed on Facebook, which is very inspirational. I check it every day and it's posting great pictures with great captions every day. And it's talking about executing and it's talking about dominating. But if you are not going to be able to be the person who's gonna practically dedicate an hour each and every morning and each and every day after listening to these, or even the night before you sleep and meditate on it, these are just purely gonna be talk shops. And at the end of these 30 days, that this gentleman and his team would have worked hard to bring you this content, then you're going to be lagging and you're still going to be caught up in a constant loop because we are visiting success, but you're not actually building yourself up for success. And you'll never actually even get to that next level because the next level requires you to be a different you. The next level requires you to break certain things out of you. The next level needs you to shape yourself into what you need to be so that you can get to where you need to go. So if there's certain weight that you're carrying that is not necessary for you to grow, move to the next level, don't think about it. Don't be inspired by it. Don't feel good about it. Change it, cut it off, and make sure that you get things done. I'll say it again. Make sure that you get things done. Thank you so much. I hope my slides have added value. Thank you.
Yo. Oh, mouthful. Allow yourself to be there, because you may never know who you will meet. Whoever that you meet in being there might be the might be the person you outsource your weaknesses from. Say, so much respect. I love the fact that you even say we should invest in our journey. And Not so many understood that it took me a year and a half to come and from Welcome to Joburg to come and attend your seminars in Tembisa. It is only today that it's paying off. Build relationships, because those relationships will build your businesses. So when we started, you spoke about how crucial disruptive learning is for one's journey in entrepreneurship. Can you just unpack that for us?
I think in the best way to unpack that is to understand one thing. What is innovation? Innovation is simply when two different ideas collide. It's when two different ideas merge. Now, if you want to then disrupt your mind, open up your mind to things that you don't know, and force feed yourself. Because what actually happens is that as you force feed yourself, your body starts to adjust to that, level of experience, that level of dialect, that level of conversation. And the moment you start to bring it in and to take it in, you then are able to open up your mind to new possibilities. Because it's Dr. Mark Sarakova who said, we start businesses according to the level of our education, which then makes sense why 15 years ago I started an internet cafe, because that's the only thing I was exposed to. That's the only thing I knew. That's the only thing I had experienced or seen. So I'm dreaming within the bounds of my experience or my exposure or what I've read about. But if I want to unlock the next level, then I need to then be able to expose myself to how other people are doing what they're doing. And if I'm able to do that, then a beautiful thing happens, which happens almost automatically. Growth happens, and it happens effortlessly.
Sure. Normally when we start, we get to be pushed or pursued by a goal. But when we reach one goal, because when you started, you were only printing flyers. And then now to how big your brand is. How crucial is it to move from a goal mindset to a growth mindset, as an entrepreneur?
Very, 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 very important. I'll tell you how important it is. So doctors say, so the day is broken up into three parts, right? The first third we are asleep. The second third we are working. The second third we are either eating, we are either resting, we are either playing with our kids, we are either learning new things, we are either pushing our side hustles. Now, it's in the first third that when we are sleeping, we grow and we develop ourselves. So which then says, if we were created and in sleep we develop and we grow, growth should be inherently who we are. Growth is not a goal, but growth is who we are. So we can then not go out into the market and make the goal the win. The win should be growth at every level. So that then means to an entrepreneur, you then going to need to open up and understand emotional intelligence and understand when do you actually there's certain clients you shouldn't even be invoicing, but you should be able to see way beyond the client and see what their network is looking like and being able to leverage them on the basis of a network. And one of my mentors said this to me. So he had done a lot of favors for me, had done a lot of work for me. I then closed a big contract. I think it was 2 years ago. I then reached out to him and said to him, well, Hortman, listen, I've closed this contract. I would like to contract your services as a consultant. And he said to me, you need to make two choices. If you limit our relationship to finances, then it's probably going to be a client-supplier relationship. Then we won't have a relationship beyond that. Because you must remember one thing. I invested within you and deposited before you could even afford me, and you still can't even afford me. The second element, you could then come back into the relationship and leverage based on what currency we are working with in the relationship. That is why in most cases, because the currency is rand, we limit the engagement, we limit the growth. But if the currency is relationship, the growth never becomes limited and the effects are rands.
Wow. In 15 years, I know that you have woke up some morning and you had this thought. What made it difficult for you not to give up, and what made it easy for you to keep going?
So I'll give a narrative, right? 7 years in, we're making anything between 180 Rand to about 380, 400 Rand a month. on a 2,000, 3,000 Rand deficit, purely because we wanted to provide internet at the time, and there was no internet connectivity, and we had a modem brand called Hocha back in the day. I don't know if you still remember it or know it, so which was expensive. But in that time, I wanted to give up because I felt like I was caught up in a loop. I'm doing the same thing over and over again. I'm not growing. But what was the tipping point in that particular moment in time is when I started to realize that I'm building what I'm building purely because of a narrative that I've not created. I'm building what I'm building because I've seen other people do it like this. I'm not building it for me. I'm not building it for the people around me. I'm not building it to actually create value, but I'm building it purely for that moment in time. So a lot of us start businesses because we want to provide for our families. A lot of us start businesses because we have no other option. We want to put bread on the table. We start businesses because we're good at what we do. But that might be the reason to start, but it will never become the reason to become consistent and to maintain the growth of the business at the end of the day. So the tipping point for me was now starting to understand, why am I doing what am I doing? And to start to understand that if my fixation is the development of brands and people are brands in and themselves, that means that put me in any different position and catalog, I'd be able to deliver because I answer my why. I'll be able to answer my why in every single thing that I do. Why? Because I'm not pushed by how big the contract is, but I'm pushed by what is my why and does it align with my why? And if it doesn't align with my why, and as is the world, we will not always get along with different people that we meet. It is okay. It is natural. Let's walk away and let's move on to the next thing.
Wow. The room is on fire.
Get out of here.
Look, we are created in weights. We don't take weights for granted. That's why we try by all means to ensure that we bring people who will speak. Mr. Bulelani, let me go to your audience and hear what do they say or what are their questions. Right. You will just forgive me because we got cut off a bit. I think there was 3 posts that were done. They are cut off. But Ntatemuli Finyofane say, amazing story on how you own authentic story, open up opportunity that you are not qualified for. Deposit through sacrifice. Ntate Joseph Klubi or make sacrifices and add value. Vuyisile say, depositing into the relationship should it be financially or it can also be informally or otherwise? Should I just read all of them, Mr. Bulelani, or?
I think the first ones you read were more they sharing their views, but this one is actually a question. Maybe let me answer that one.
Right.
Maybe let me answer this, and then we'll go question by answer. I don't think they should limit it to money. I don't think money should be the foundation of any relationship. I'll tell you what I did. A gentleman I've been eyeing for a very long time. I think about 2-3 years ago. I heard that his sister had passed on. So I then, without his knowledge, found the address to where the home was, found one of his siblings, and the siblings were more than delighted to accommodate me, and we then offered assistance. But in offering that assistance, he wanted to reciprocate. No, how can I help you? We said, no, you don't need to help me at all, because as a human being, I was touched by that thing, that what you were going through, because I imagined myself going through the very same thing. And from that point, we connected way bigger than anything, So it's not just, you don't limit it to money. Money is not the foundation, but the value should be the main thing that you open up yourself to. So here's Tapelo. Tapelo is running the online survival. If I'm out there, I'm an entrepreneur, I've got time, I've got more than enough time on my hands. How do I help this team further this vision? Maybe I manage the administration, maybe I manage the content. Maybe I decide, no, man, I'll just email them each and every day. That is you adding value. you don't get Tapelo's attention by saying, hey, Tapelo, please come to my house. We want to talk. No, he's a busy guy. So the only way to get his attention and his whole attention is by you saying, how do I help you become great? And when he's become great, when he's become great, he then gets the attention of, he's then gotten by the attention of the people that have made him great. And then he's then feel the need to reciprocate back. That's how you build relationships.
Wow. All right. Okay. Keep on going. I think Mr. Gefane also quoted, I enjoyed your story and presentation thoroughly, Bulelani. We have met back in the days of Leadership 2020. I'm so glad to hear and see that you're still on top of the game. Your passion always at all times resonate with me. Hashtag show up, hashtag get things done. Salute, sir. And Tapo also quoted, shoot your shot. And then Auspalesa Butipe Ore, thank you, mister. And then Auslindiwe Ore, hi Ndade Bulelani, kindly explain the ratio again. I'm not sure the ratio that you unpacked.
Which one?
Yes, can you just send which one out?
Yeah, and then we'll unpack it again. I'm more than happy to do that.
All right, so Tidiso Kwena says, get things done. Get things done. We are in the church now, eh? Lindiwe, okay, all right. Joseph, okay, Lindiwe also say, kindly unpack loopholes. I'm not sure loopholes in the market or loopholes that exist in the entrepreneurial space. Okay. Also, please can you give us clarity, Auslidiwe? Joseph Thubi is asking a question. Sebulelani, how do I identify opportunities that are for me?
So I think it becomes very easy, right? Because you need to understand, you need to unpack why you're doing what you're doing. So for me, the quadrant is very simple, right? Let me break it down this way. So the moment you unpack the service, this offering that you have, that you want to go into the market, identify the next set of enablers. The next set of enablers, institutions that are there to enable the growth of this product or idea. These are not clients. These are people whose sole mandate is to help you develop and grow this idea. Number 3, which departments in large corporations do I need to be engaging with that are aligned with the solution that I want to build? The third part, who are the people, who are the industry leaders and industry providers and experts on this subject matter? And when I merge this product or service that I've developed or that I've developed against theirs, is it able to stand, and what sort of loopholes and answers does it answer at the end of the day? The moment you are able to answer that, you then open up the fourth thing. What does your client archetype look like? Because then you would then have a foundational base that is aligned to, that has got intrinsic alignment, whether it's corporate, whether it's government and individual, with the understanding that the client base is going to be benefiting a series of things that are going to be developing them. So the opportunity in and itself is not a money opportunity, but long-term, one needs to be fixated in long-term growth. But I'll also throw something in there. Sometimes as an entrepreneur, you sell vegetables to survive, but your big dream is construction. And then you get some paving jobs, and then they pay a little bit, but you're still pushing for the big ones. They don't come, so you sell school clothes. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're diverting your attention unless you look away. Diverting your attention, when you divert your attention is when you look away. But if you're still focused on the goal, and the goal is to build this construction company up, and this then becomes an end to a means. So you then continuously run this. But the beautiful thing about consistent movement is that you are able to see opportunities. The best way to see opportunities is being in motion. Because if you're stagnant, you're not able to see what is happening out there, because you're taking in the air of opportunities and how other people are succeeding.
Wow. That is to be, I'm hoping that you got a clarity. All right. Siabonga Mkungo say, thank you, sir, for sharing great content with us. Elskeneto is also saying, rediscovering my why. I am committed to continuously apply this in all my business and personal activities. Ausha Bulile say, I appreciate the emphasis on the fact that listening to this session alone is not enough. One actually has to meditate on the information gain, implement, make that change, and get things done. Thank you, sir. Auslin, I think she said, all right, the question is, how do I move from an industry that I am an expert and qualified at for 12 years and want to move to an industry that I am passionate about, which I also invested in financially?
So I think for me, I think from a functional perspective, moving from one industry that you've invested in for 12 years and moving into another industry that you're passionate about, I'll put out a series of thoughts that I was also asked when I came up with the same thing. So if you spend 12 years being known as this individual who built this particular product, and I'm assuming you built this business or you built these experiences, could you, before you put those 12 years away and don't even go back into that, could you find ways of productizing that experience and that knowledge in such a way that entrance into that particular industry could access those expertise, and finding ways of leveraging your experience goes a long way. But at the very same time, if you are then from a functional perspective moving into a different industry, then you then need to then open yourself up to failure. It's not going to be as comfortable as it was in the previous one. But a wise person doesn't let go of something that's working onto something that's not working. But a creator and an innovator jumps boats whether it's working or not. And I think if you are sure and you have aligned your values with it and you think it's the right thing to do, jump onto it, but also find ways of packaging this next thing to say, well, if it's 12 years worth of expertise, how can I, number one, take it into where I'm going and fuse it with this new product? Or number two, can I productize it and have it as its own standalone product because it already has 12 years experience on it?
Well, I hope that gave you the answer, Aslimbi. All right. Nokpiwa, she said, wow. Siabulela Bulelani. Right. Welisa, thanks a lot for sharing this guts. Thank you for sharing this good stuff. Much appreciated. Keep it up and burning. Right. Let me see on the questions. Mr. Mutobi Chabalala, already relationship building in a new currency relationship building is a new currency in the world where technology being relationship building is new currency in the world where technology being everyone is stuck to technological gadgets, everybody communicates but few connect. So we need to find a niche of connecting and touching in rare and unique way. All right. I think Jason also say, hey, Mr. B, how does entrepreneur avoid breaking down if things are not going according to plan on his first business venture?
Don't avoid it. Don't avoid it. To go through it. Don't avoid it. Sometimes I've learned something that, I'm human first before I'm an entrepreneur. I'm human first before I'm anything. And sometimes when you go through milestones and you go through things that have pushed you, it's okay to cry. It's okay to feel pain. It's okay to actually be in the moment and work yourself in that moment, but it is not okay to stay there forever. But if you are going into a space where you've felt pain, the business has shut down, you've broken down, it's not a problem breaking down, it's a problem breaking indefinitely and breaking forever. And breaking to the point of damnation, because I'll quote the Bible. There's a particular point, and I know it's unorthodox, but I will. There's a particular passage of scripture in the Bible that says that, and I'm paraphrasing, that says that, you may fall 7 times, but get back up again, but the wicked falls unto damnation. And I think, in paraphrasing to our conversation right now, if the mindset is that every time I'm touched, I'm going to die, then chances are that is going to be your response rates to every situation. You need to allow yourself to go through the failure, because you know what it does? The failure builds resistance. The more and more you fail, you get to a point where it doesn't even move you any longer, where it doesn't even shift you. That is why when we were growing up, when the lights were taken away and our parents were going through a struggle, they were not as panicky as we were, because they have lived through that storm. They know that a new day is going to come and new bread is going to also come. So allow yourself to go through that, but learn from that and build your resistance.
Oh, yeah. You can just drop the mic right there. Drop the mic.
Get out of here.
Sir, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
People are saying I should not close the session. But
thank you.
No man is an Iceland. And another man's progress sits on another man's wisdom. That's why, as an institution, we believe in the hyper collaboration, that my elevation sits in your experience. What you might have suffered will qualify you to become an expert in the same area that you are struggling in. So there's a lot of fans, there's a lot of people who are following up, but how do we keep track of you? How do we follow your work? How do we get to always listen to this voice?
So I think for me, it's simple. So on all my social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, I'm actually typing here in the chat box, because I know it's going to disappear once the session ends. But on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram as well, that then becomes the platform where one can engage the content, because I think I've gotten into a better space now, emotionally, physically, and spiritually, and also being inspired by what the platform is doing. I'll also do a couple of things online as well, and just share my thoughts online, possibly in the week to come. But I think one could then stay glued to that and then just ask as many questions as you like. So after this session, you probably still have questions about anything. Inbox me, DM me, tweet it, whatever. Drop me an email. Ask away. I'm more than happy to engage you, and with the little knowledge that I have, I'll share my ideas and concepts.
All right. Do you have any anything that you send into us as an entrepreneur that will keep us going during this critical time, sir?
Yeah, so you can definitely get the Get Things Done audio. It's available on iTunes and also on Google Play. Literally, I think it's about $50 or so, but it will keep you going and you'll have that forever. But my new book I'm going to have a book that's going to come out in the next couple of months, just before the end of the year. So please stay glued to that as well. And I think whenever we are around your hood, hashtag join us for tea.
Thank you very much, sir. On behalf of MindThink Institute, on behalf of all individuals who took their time to be with us today, I just want to thank you very much. And my message for everyone is accept what it is, let go of what it was, and faith what will be. There's things that are beyond our control. Like I always say, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. My name is Mutawun Chapelo, and the summit is still continuing tomorrow. And tomorrow it's our 10th session or episode. So please try to ensure that you come and attend all of them, because each and every session has its own special value that is going to assist you in building while you're still in this lockdown. And remember, You are the best and the unbeatable element of success. Mr. Balabala, I'm going to load it on YouTube in the
Thank
next
you, sir.
hour. So then people
Thank
can
you.
have access to it. They can go to YouTube channel Chapel or Big Tribam Taung to access all the episodes that are going on. And say once again, much respect and thank you very much.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to you and the team that's working in the background tirelessly. We appreciate you guys in Gabonga. Thank you so much, man. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, until we meet tomorrow, stay legendary. We out. I'm going to need you to, all right. Thank you very much. Okay.